I had this one particular patient that came to me and she described herself as an incest survivor. Discovered right away I wasn't going to be able to do traditional twist, turn, crack type of chiropractic. Well, 2 weeks passed. There were no changes in her pain levels and her experiences. She stood there, hands on her hips. She looked up at me and she said, "You have what I need. You better go home tonight and figure it out, and I'll be back tomorrow." It threw me for a loop because my analytic mind was going crazy. I had seen this massage therapist. He did this crazy stuff called energy work on me. I did my chiropractic adjustment, and then I mimicked what he did with me. I did the breathing. I put my fingertips on her, and I thought silently to myself, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to charge money for this." After treatment, she gets up off the table. She throws her arms around me and she said, "That's exactly what I needed. Thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow."
I am here with Dr. Debbie. I'm really excited to have this conversation with her. She has become, I feel like I can call her a friend. And she is just a beautiful person with some incredible talents and gifts that she loves to share with the world. She has so much energy. And I just was excited to be able to do an interview with her here on the group page so that you all can get to know her, get to know what she does, get to know all the beautiful things that she is giving to this planet at this time and into individual lives. So without further ado, welcome, Dr. Debbie.
Thank you, Charla. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so please start with telling us a little bit about what you do and how you came to the modalities that you're using today.
Let me start with how energy work even showed up for me. I was in chiropractic college. I started late in life. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I graduated from chiropractic college age 40, went from Portland, Oregon to Washington State, practiced for 20 years. Very analytic, very research oriented. Everything needed to be factual. And once I crossed the state line, I started to work with patients. And again, everything I was taught was very structured, very straight up, very conservative. So I had this one particular patient that came to me and she described herself as an incest survivor. And she would come in, she'd prep the room, she'd check the door, she'd lock the door, she'd make sure everything was perfect. And then I would do my chiropractic with her. Discovered right away I wasn't going to be able to do traditional twist, turn, crack type of chiropractic. And so I used the one silver instrument called activator, which I think most people are familiar with. Anyway, I used that on her to adjust her spine. Well, 2 weeks passed and there were no changes. There were no changes in her pain levels and her experiences. So the night before, I was ready to tell her that I needed to refer her because that's what I was taught in my conservative chiropractic college is you need to refer to somebody else. If you can't help her in 2 weeks, you need to move her along. And so that's what I was ready to do. Now I'm 5'10", she's 5'3". And before I said a word, she stood there, hands on her hips. She looked up at me and she said, "You're going to refer me to somebody else, aren't you?" And I go, "Well, and I started to explain and she cut me off and she said, "You have what I need. You better go home tonight and figure it out, and I'll be back tomorrow."
That's great.
It threw me for a loop because my analytic mind was going crazy and I probably had a totally sleepless night that night. And so what happened is when she showed up the next day, I had seen and connected with this massage therapist there in the Seattle area. And he did this crazy stuff called energy work on me. And I say it that way very fondly and lovingly because at the time I thought it was weird. I thought it was crazy. And now I'm one of those people. But anyway, it's like funny because what I did is that day I did my chiropractic adjustment. And then I mimicked what he did with me. And then later learned I'm a clairsentient. So I could sense all of that. And that's how intuitively it started to kick into gear. So I did the breathing. I put my fingertips on her. And I thought silently to myself, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to charge money for this." I just thought it was horrible. So she gets after treatment. She gets up off the table. She throws her arms around me and she said, "That's exactly what I needed. Thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow."
Oh, wow.
It just spun. And that was the beginning of things starting to open for me.
That brings tears to my eyes. I love it.
I
It
even saw
really
her several years later, and she introduced a friend to me. She said, "I am still feeling so amazing, and it's all thanks to you." And that was like 2 or 3 years later. I loved it.
wow, what an incredible testimony. And I
Mhm.
think also for maybe people who are energy curious and who have not
Mm.
experienced it before, we live in a world where there's a lot going on that we don't see with our human eyes. I think it's what 0.04% of the light spectrum that we actually do see. So tapping into this, people that like us who've been working with it now, we know it is real. We feel it. We've learned to become very sensitive to it, to allow it to move through our bodies. And not only that, but we have experiences like you just described, which are seeing people's lives change. So that is so exciting. That's a lot more of my giftings as well as in the energy realm. And so even I struggle with believing it sometimes. It's like, am I really doing something? But it's undeniable whenever you see the results like that in your own life and other people's lives. So you mentioned about being clairsentient. Can you just explain a little bit about what that is for people who may not know, and maybe describe some of all the clairs? I know you have a video on our community talking about it, but I would love to hear from you about it.
Well, clairsentient and claircognizant are my 2 of the 4 main ones, but the clairs are associated with all of our senses. So sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing, all 5 of them. I may have missed one. But in the meantime, they're all part of us. And that is our intuitive in to be able to sense as a healer what we do. So my strong suit is clairsentient and claircognizant. So clairsentient is I'm able to sense things pretty much without thought. I can sense an emotion without taking on the emotion. I can sense that there's something there, or I get it. So that's where the clairsentient will come in. The claircognizant is of knowingness. So because I have doctor in front of my name, it's so interesting because people will want to explain something to me and they think I need to see all this research, but I already know I want what they have without the research because that's my clear cognizant. And so it's just a state of knowing. You just know that this is what's next. You just know this is someone who's your friend. You just know. And when you trust that, because sometimes we have other thoughts, the mental negative mind chatter that will struggle with us on that. And so then the clair doesn't come through as clear. So
Right.
those are the 2 big ones that I actually exercise all the time. I did have 3 very brief clairvoyant moments. I saw an aura one time. I saw energy on a back one time. And there was one other time, and I can't remember. That is not my strong one. And so when I first started with, I just thought clairvoyant was the only one, and I thought that's what I needed to be. I tried so hard to be a clairvoyant, and that was a mistake on behalf of my healing clair abilities because I struggled with it. And so if one is kind of wondering, you just kind of observe your senses and what. And some people, I've even seen videos, and I can't remember what this one is called. It's the one I have. It's a clairliance. It's the one I have the hardest time pronouncing, but it's smell. I have seen healers completely smell a body, and that's how they do their healing work. But anyway, those are just some brief explanations of clairs. And again, there's that video that goes into more detail on all 4 of them.
Right. She has video, just for people who don't know, we do have a sister community. It's kind of like an inner circle. And for our group experts, they actually have their own little space over there. I'll be talking more about that here in a little bit, and I'll show you how to find her and everything. It's all free. You can come and be a part of what Dr. Debbie's doing and learn from her and just be in her sphere there, with all these wonderful teachings and gifts that she has. But uh, what do you feel? Because just coming from a healer standpoint,
Mhm.
I have noticed, like, I love that you said that you tried to be a clairvoyant because I've experienced that same thing. Like, you see these gifts that people have, and you start to feel like, "Oh, well, I should be able to do that," or, instead of getting in tune with your own power and your own giftings that are wanting to just naturally come through. And I think I did the same thing. Like, I would see, "Oh, well, I should be able to be, calling out things that are happening psychically or whatever, because you start to tune into this energy and it feels so incredible. And it's like, you know that it's all knowing. So it's like, I want that all knowingness to come through. But then I was ignoring the gifts that I have. And I don't know what category it would fit into be, but it was, I do feel things through my body, and I can feel energy and scan bodies and that type of thing as well. And I've just recently kind of thought, well, that's the gift that comes through, and I just need to be okay with that. But what do you feel? I'm getting to a question here. Uh, what causes someone to become more sensitive to that and to identify that within themselves?
I think first of all is to acknowledge, embrace, not to compare
Yeah.
your gifts that you already have. It's there is no space for comparison here. There just isn't. Because in order for the intuition to really kick in and for those abilities to kick in, you have to have a clear mind about it. And anytime we're wrestling with, perhaps I'm not good enough, who am I to think I can do anything like this? That will just cause an energetic, a frequency, an interference to the whole ability. So it's really important to have that mind really clear. And we each have our gifts. Trying to be a wannabe, trying to be like somebody else is not what it's about. It's getting really clear mind. I even, on one of my videos, I give an exercise to clear the mind, clear the mind, clear the mind. So then you can tap into, for some, that is via meditation and just quieting. I have a real simple breath method that I go to, and it instantly downregulates the autonomic nervous system into calm, peaceful state, connects with that higher source. That is a great state to go to. But it's being able to recognize what's already there.
Yeah.
What's already there. So first of all, having the definitions, I believe, help. It just helps to have a structure to reflect and relate to. Once I learned about clairsentient and claircognizant, I'm going, oh my gosh, that's who I am. My clients all the time will say, and my patients, how did you know that was there? How did you know that? And I say, it's how I'm wired. It's what I do. It is what I do. Rather than to say, oh, I'm claircognizant, I just say, that was my gift. That was given to me. So does that answer your question, Charlotte, or is there more to that question?
Oh, no, I feel that's a great answer. I feel that it's really important to touch on this because
Mhm.
there are so many healers and energy workers and people who feel that they want to be doing that work. And I think a lot of people are starting to come online right now to even becoming aware of that they do have something that's coming through them. They're starting to, for the first time, realize, wow, there's something that I'm feeling that I haven't felt before. So, and I think sometimes the first thing that we do when that starts to happen is we start to look at what other people are doing, and we'll fall into the trap of thinking what I do needs to look like what they do. And then we start having a bunch of copycats, and it's coming from a genuine heart, I do believe, but I think that the power comes when we can really step into what our calling is, who we are, what our giftings are, not what someone else's is. We might be able to learn and be inspired, but then we need to surrender to that place of, okay, reveal to me now, how is this working through me? What do I naturally move towards that I can flow in? So
So may I offer an example of that?
please do. Yeah.
All right. So the massage therapist I mentioned, his name is Michael. He's no longer with us. God bless him. He had a whole other part to him. He worked with star children. He channeled. He did this. He did that. But my intuition plugged into the clairsentient level of what he shared with me in order to help my incest survivor patient.
Mm.
I literally plucked out of what I learned from him and utilized to accentuate my own gifts and my own strength. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I really want healers to know, the beginner healers, the new healers. And also I want to say, this doesn't mean you have to hang a shingle. You can be a healer within your family, a healer within yourself. Healers come in all shapes and sizes. So I just mimicked what I could relate to, what Michael, I said Michael, but his name's Daniel. I'm not sure why Michael showed up, but he did work with Archangel Michael a lot. So it's possible that might be where that just kind of came through. But yeah, it's remarkable to be able to, and like initially I hung out with these, and I say this again, lovingly and fondly, I hung out with these weird people. I was drawn to them, but I thought, oh my gosh, they're so weird. They're so different than me. So they must be weird, you know? And so, but what I was doing is I was picking up on a little bit of this energy and a little bit of that energy. And then I started to mimic things at first. And then it became more natural. It just became more of, this is how I roll. This is what I do. So fast forwarding, that's what I do.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think we do recognize it in others first, and that awakens it in ourselves. And I just want everyone to know how beautiful they are when they are just authentic. I've seen on this page, on this group page, a lot where people have been talking about what is the frequency of all these different emotions and different things. And yeah, I think it's the work of, what's his name? David Hawkins? Is it David?
David Hawkins was one that did, yes, he did a lot of study on that.
Kind of measured that.
Yeah.
And authenticity has come up a lot, where that's a really high frequency. And so anytime that we can be practicing moving into that authentic place is very powerful. So your work, you work with people one-on-one in your practice. It kind of started out through chiropractic, is that right? And then it just evolved into the energy work. And now you're doing like a combination, it sounds to me, of the awareness of the skeletal system. You do that as well, but you're working a lot remotely. So explain a little bit of your process there of how does that work to do a remote practice.
So when someone asks me, what exactly do you do? Here's the best version I came up, and this is dynamic. I'm always upgrading it because sometimes it's heard this way and sometimes it's not. So I just want to say what alerted me to actually introduce more energy work into what I did was about 20% of my chiropractic patients were not getting better. They just weren't getting better. They keep coming back with the same things. I wasn't satisfied with that. And I just knew there had to be something else, but I didn't know. And by this time I had, I bumped elbows with all these very different people and that, and I had helped my incest survivor and that. But what happened was it kind of went on a quest. And one of the first places I landed was I got a level 1 and a level 2 in Reiki. It just seemed like the most healer friendly space for me to go to. It made the most sense. And so I did that, added that to what I was doing. But then all of a sudden I just started playing. I always say I'm playing on the energetic playground, and it's for sure. I call my domain magical intuitive play because it is magical and it is fun. So what I would do is I'd have an engineer or a programmer on my table. They've already given me permission to work with them chiropractically. And because I do know the nervous system and because I have dissected a cadaver down to the last vessel, I have strong visuals as to what is in there. I can just go through and trace through. And so what I did, I started playing with going into the system, and then I would notice blockages. I'm going, oh, okay. Well, let's just clear that out. Okay. It's just as simple as that, by the way. And then I'd go through and I'd scan again. I'd find another one. And I would do about 3 of those each time. And then before long, they started getting results that were permanent. And I'm thinking, this could be it. And so I did in 1996, I put together a 3-step systematic system that I started doing remote sessions. And then it just kept expanding, fast forwarding to today. I mean, I do things today that I certainly didn't start off with, but I just have followed my intuition. I have followed my clairsentience, my claircognizance. I've trusted it, and it just keeps expanding. So here's my explanation I'll give people. I'll say, you know how prayer works. And most people will say, oh, well, yes, yes, prayer works. It'll go across the waters. It'll go into a country, a community, an individual. And I said, well, just see it this way. I go in and I scan the body like an external piece of software. I come into the body, I join up with your energy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my light. I come in with my light and I shine it on an area that seems to be dysregulated, it's interrupted, it's not working. There's a block there. And a lot of these are in the blind spots. The human being doesn't, I have blind spots, you have blind spots. So I go in there and I just instantly shift it I come packing a whole lot of love and intention. And in the intention that this can change right here and right now. One of my energy friends, I asked her, I said, would you receive an energy session from me? Because she had another insight. I think she was very clairvoyant too. And she gets done with the session. She said, oh my God, Debbie. I go, what? She said, you're a transmuter. And I go, okay, but what's a transmuter? She said, that means the moment you identify something, it instantly shifts. It instantly changes. And I had to go Google it later to learn about myself. But in the meantime, that's how I explain it to people. It's just like I come packing in with this copious amounts of love. And if there's a block there, I don't care if it's a block from trauma. I don't need to know details. We don't need to know details. In fact, it'll clear faster by not going into details. And there could be ancestral energy there that could be stuck there. It can be something from childhood. It doesn't matter. We just clear it and we move on to the next priority systematically. So hopefully that explains a bit about how I work.
For sure. And I can testify that when Dr. Debbie came into our community, she came in like a force. I mean, it's definitely been impactful, her energy and her presence, and just impacting our lives as well as the community's experience and growth. And it's been beautiful. And you just described that so well. I love the pairing of the chiropractic with the energy work, because there's just sometimes things that we cannot see or get to through the physical only. And your understanding of the body already brings on a whole other layer of being able to identify those blocks. So you've worked with people with cravings. I know that you have some offerings with helping people with like sugar cravings, helping people with weight loss. And it sounds like that kind of was birthed maybe out of your own struggle with some cravings that you were able to clear in yourself.
Yes. A child I had intense sugar consumption. I just have always had intense sugar consumption. And I had a lot of deep pocket fillings as a result of, and later those caused issues because there was a lot of mercury in there, which that's all been cleaned out. And that's a whole subject of itself. But the thing of it is I struggled with a 50-pound overweightness for 7 years. And I reached my goal weight in May 1979. I've maintained it since. Wow. But that struggle for sugar just kept hanging on. And it's a fight. It's a constant battle. And anybody who struggles with cravings, any kind of cravings, like some people may not have it for sugar, but they may have it for carbohydrates or cheese and crackers or alcohol or whatever it is. They may just have a strong craving. But anyway, through my systematic process, have discovered a way to delete out a craving, the cycle of the craving, because I see the body as being programmed like a computer, and within the body, physically, emotionally, mentally, and neurologically, you just have cycles. They're programs. And so another way of defining it is a karmic imprint is nothing more than a cycle. It's a repeating life experience. So what I do is I go in, I find the cycle, and then identify the trigger. And the trigger can be an emotion, the trigger can be an event, it can be whatever. And I do it that very same way. I just scan through and I look for the triggers, clear them out. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I haven't consumed any highly refined sugars since August of 2022. And I had reduced significantly, but my mama, she's 96 now. She said to me, she said, Debbie, you must have really strong willpower. And I said, nope. Willpower has nothing to do with it, despite what we're taught on Google. Willpower has nothing to do with it. It has the desire, the cycle. It's been removed. It's deleted out of the system. It's transmuted. It's gone. And so, yeah, that I love. And you know that goes into some people say, "Oh, I want to snack at night, or I want to eat something right before bed, or you might have." I used to binge. I'd eat bags of chocolates, bags of cookies, all in one sitting. I mean, I was a hardcore sugar consumer. I just was.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, but not anymore. It's so lovely.
We have a lot in common that I didn't realize. Because I too was a sugar addict, and I have since, you know, conquered that through some practices and everything, and
Yeah.
kind of forced to change because of my health back in 2017 really took a drastic turn. But yeah, that, and we're also 5'10".
Oh, I did not realize you were 5'10".
I didn't realize that about you either. You
I
just
learned another little friend in our community, practitioner community, was that tall too. And I go, really? You're that? It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
Right. Well, I want to read a few testimonials of some of your clients. It says, I used to struggle with sugar cravings. I thought I needed sugar every day and some before I would go to bed. This is until I heard about Dr. Debbie's coaching through addictions. I went with it and never turned back. My sugar addiction has been conquered, and I had an even worse addiction to potato chips, which is also sugar, by the way. And she helped me with that as well. I don't even crave chips anymore. I can't thank you enough, Dr. Debbie. Here's just a couple more. This one is from Jessica. Since our session together, I have noticed a shift in my inner voice or critic. I am experiencing a loving kindness to myself that has been missing for too long. I am hopeful and optimistic about my days as soon as I rise. I am ready to shine, and my protective walls have started to come down, and I have a renewed sense of wanting to give love again. That is beautiful. And that's what happens when these blocks start to be removed and start to be dissolved and dissipate. We can actually feel that natural state of love again for ourselves, and also extend that to others.
If you cry.
Yeah, it's so true. Here's another one. The energy shifts and feelings of release were powerful. Feelings of becoming unstuck and unburdened. I have a renewed feeling of peace and calm. Situations in my life are the same, but my responses are different. Dr. Debbie, you entered my life at precisely the right moment, and I am grateful. I look forward to receiving your healing gifts again. Thank you. And then, Ben, you can bring up that other one on the screen here. This is the last one we'll end with here from Jennifer. I don't feel anxious anymore. It feels like a weight has been lifted. I feel lighter and happier. This is wonderful. Oh, it makes me so happy. I mean, this is really what it's about. It's really about releasing the toxins through our energy body to be able to come back into alignment with the truth of who we are. This is not, what people call ascension and enlightenment and expansion really is just that. It's us returning to love. It's us returning to the truth of who we are. And energy workers like you, Dr. Debbie, I just absolutely love. You impact lives in huge ways. The work is so powerful. I want to show how you can find Dr. Debbie. She's one of our practitioners at the sister community. I've got these links in the description, but maybe Ben can also add them to the comments. But this is, let me get over here. Okay, this is what you're going to see whenever you sign up for our sister community. It's going to take you to this homepage here, but then over here to the left, and if you're on a mobile, you'll just click the 3 lines at the top left. But we have these breakout circles, and we've just started this over here. There's so much more in the community that I could show you. I'll do it in another video. But this is a new feature that we've come up with here in the group. And one of the reasons for starting these was there's so many different types of gifts. There's so many different focuses, and they all work together. It's very holistic, and we really want to help people treat their entire being. So it's all about frequencies over here, and then these breakout circles kind of hone in on more specifically. So Dr. Debbie has Your Miraculous You, which I love that name. So when you click on breakout circles, or you can just go straight here to her breakout, and you will see that she's got her welcome page here. She has a feed that you can come and just introduce yourself, say hello, so Dr. Debbie knows you're here. And then she's also putting in some videos here. She just started this. So this is, I think, going to become a really wonderful healing space. She'll also be able to do events and things like that. So if you want to stay connected to Dr. Debbie, come join her breakout circle. It's totally free. And we'll love to have you. Also, I'm going to now head over to Ben. Go ahead and bring up the marketplace. And this is also where you can find what Dr. Debbie is doing. I want to talk a little bit about this. You have this high vibe mastery jumpstart. This is like what you've described as where people should start with you if they do want to partake in one of your offerings. Can you explain a little bit about what you do in this offering?
This is an amazing 5-session time with me, 1-to-1, 5 consecutive days of 30 minutes. And we take whatever your needs are, whatever your challenge is, whatever your focus is, and we will walk right through it. There are some blocks that are cleared during this time. You will have much higher clarity, and you will have a higher vibration or frequency by the end of these 5 days. They are so fun. This is a $77 purchase, but it's actually a $1,500 value. So it is a lot jam-packed in those 5 days. And it's a lovely place to start. It's a lovely place to start. And I only have room on it. It's just me doing this. So I have room for 5 people. So the first 5 people to respond to this get to schedule right away. You'll start with a consult, making sure it's a good match for you and for me to make this 5 days like the most impactful ever for you. There's a questionnaire for you to fill out. It's right there. You'll have that filled out before the consult, and we'll hit the ground running. And I promise you, it will be like nothing you've ever experienced. It's just so fun every time I do one.
And now we've switched places. It's so funny. But there are those 2 different ways. If you just are like, oh man, I can't wait to get to be one of those 5 people, then head over to frequencyfamilymarket.com. You can go ahead and purchase that there, fill out all the information. But if you just want to get to know Dr. Debbie a little bit more, if you want to join her breakout circle, that is totally free. And you can just come over and get to know her more and benefit from all that she's doing over there. You call your breakout circle Your Miraculous You. Can you just tell us, what does that mean to you?
You know, it's really interesting. I grabbed that URL before Miraculous was even being used in the world. And I challenged and questioned myself whether or not that was just a silly word. I have 3 different moments in life of where I've showed up as a miracle. My mom was never supposed to have me. The doctor told her after having my sister, she was not supposed to have me. But my mom, being a devout Catholic that she is, she said the rosary every day to the Blessed Virgin Mary, and miracle number one. Miracle number two is I broke my arm riding my horse when I was 5 years old. It was a severe fracture, and I broke the growth plate. And my arm got lucky, and it continued to develop. Otherwise, it would have stayed the same size as it was at that age. Miracle number two. And miracle number three was I had ventricular tachycardia. I had a heart condition that I was going in and out of fibrillation for 7.5 years. And ultimately, I found a solution. I had what I had as the solution, which was a heart ablation at the time. I had an individual die right next to me when I was in the ER. And I see that as a miracle also, that I found a solution and an answer. And that every time the doctor told me, I can't believe you went in and out of fibrillation that many times and didn't, check out. I said, I got a big purpose. I got to be here. So I am a living, breathing miracle. And now that particular word just rolls off my tongue very easily because there's miracles everywhere in every moment. And so I love the word.
Yes, it's so true. Are you aware of Course in Miracles? Have you read any of that?
Pieces.
It's intense.
It's long.
Yeah, it is. But that's kind of the gist of that too. It's just a miracle is every day. That is, we are a miracle. Do you have any last words for anyone maybe that's struggling out there, wanting to know how to move into something more miraculous?
Well, here, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to say, but, we're about frequencies. And perhaps somebody's saying, well, what does this have to do with frequencies? Because everybody's after the frequency for this and the frequency for that. But just imagine you're a biocomputer, and your biocomputer is overloaded with very poor programming. And so we take our computers and it starts to be sluggish or glitchy or whatever. And we know we're going to do a clean sweep on it, or we're going to do whatever. We need a clean sweep. We need an energetic sweep in order for those frequencies to rise, in order for authenticity and love to even show up. So what's in the way? What's in the way is the particular negative thoughts and the negative patterns that have been there, even from ones from ancestral times, that are programmed in that you don't even know that are there. Once they are released, oh my gosh, you just get brand new breath, as you heard in the testimonials. You just get brand new breath, and your frequency naturally rises from the inside out. So it's an inside job. And so you don't have to seek out a way to bring in the frequency as much as, let's start here at the core. Let's get your frequency at a higher rate, at a higher level. And so within my circle, I'm going to be giving all kinds of ideas to start to remove those. If you choose to work with me, we can put that into high acceleration to allow that to get cleared quicker, simpler. It's so much simpler and easier than probably what you ever imagined. So that would be my last words there, Charla.
That's wonderful. Wow, this has been wonderful, Dr. Debbie. I am so excited that we got to have this time together. This was wonderful. I just know that it has touched some people's lives. Please share in the comments, everyone, what this has meant to you, and come see us over in the communities. It's community.frequencyfamilymarket.com, or you can go directly to her offering and check that out more at frequencyfamilymarket.com. But that's all we have for you today. I love you all so much. I am so excited that you're here. Please stay tuned for us again next week, next Thursday at the same time. Yes, waving the magic wand. Same time, same place. For me, it's 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're going to be talking with Hunter and Caitlin Samacool. and they are bringing their expertise with Rife. They actually worked with a relative of Royal Rife, one of his cousins, to develop some Rife machines, and they're very knowledgeable about Rife. So if you're interested in Rife devices, that would be the one to make it to next week on Thursday. Okay, well, much love to you all.
Thank you.
High vibes, and I will see you next week.